What is up, y'all? You are now tuned in to Intergalactic Earth.
Like a giant steel spring-loaded praying mantis.
And I am your host, Askia Lavender. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Episode 8, let's get it. So today, I'm sharing you all my visit to RandyLand. RandyLand is a art installation in Echo Park, Los Angeles, California, Earth, built by a gentleman named Randy. I had the great pleasure of going out with the intention of just seeing the artwork and sharing it with y'all. Next thing I knew, there was Randy right in front of me. So you know I had to do it. You know I had to get all the scoop, share with y'all, make sure you know what's up. And hopefully, you can get a vibe what it's like in RandyLand. Special thank you to Randy himself. Please enjoy, sit back, relax. Let's dive in. And, oh, that's Randy. Oh, this is Randy. Let's see if we can talk to him. How you doing?
Great, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm admiring your work.
The sun's shining through it.
I see.
Yeah, you live in the neighborhood?
I'm just visiting. I'm just visiting. I don't live in the neighborhood. I came specifically to see your work.
Oh, you did?
I did, yes, sir.
Well, give me a second.
Okay, thank you. All right. How's it going?
Good. Where are you visiting from?
I'm visiting from Orange County. And I actually, and it's wild that you're here because I'm here recording a podcast that I do. It's called Intergalactic. Yeah, it's called Intergalactic. Nice to meet you, Randy.
What's your name?
My name is Askia.
Askia.
Yeah, I go by Askia Lavender.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and I do these podcasts all around California. I've gone to Orange County. I of course, here in LA, and I pretty much talk about what I see, intergalactic perspective,
Wonderful.
And yeah,
Nice.
Wonderful.
Well, yeah. Do you mind if if I'm recording? I have my little microphone.
Oh, not at all, not at all. Thank
All
you
right.
so much, Askia. Does that mean something in some
In
exotic
Askia,
language?
oh no, it's Askia. I'm named after a king in Africa.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in the 14th century, there was an empire called the Songhai Empire. They call it Timbuktu. Songhai is SONGHAI. And so you've heard of Timbuktu. There was a university there and things like that.
It
And
still is a big library there, isn't it?
I'm not sure, but I'm named after and so I'm named after the king that founded that university,
Oh, that's
Askia.
fantastic.
Yeah. So I'm from California. My father is African American. My mother is Portuguese.
Oh, it's
So
amazing.
yeah.
That's so incredible. That's so interesting. Thank you for.
Of course.
I asked. I'm just curious. And I'm interested in names. I'm very interested in history.
Of course.
And I'm in art too. Let's start across the street.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Thank you so much.
Oh, you bet. Thank you for your interest. I'll keep my distance from you. Because,
Yeah. Of course,
because
the
of
pandemic. Of course,
the variant.
of course.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Delta
I
variant.
am fully vaccinated.
Me too. Thank
Okay.
you.
Cool.
And we're outside, but still, I'll keep at least
Yeah.
6 feet
No
away
problem.
from you.
No problem.
I just heard that in Israel, evidently, it's just going crazy, even though everybody's vaccinated.
Really? Yeah. And I mean, even here.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, very good. Thank you so much for your interest.
Of course. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, cool. Well, what your people listening can't see. They can't see what we're talking about, right?
No, they can't see it. I'm gonna try to show some pictures.
I see.
But I really try to make it an audio adventure.
Oh, that's wild. That's wild.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
That's very cool. Yamero? Okay. Oh, excelente. ¿Se puede pagar en la mañana? Muchísimas gracias. Hasta las 8 en la mañana. Es buen trabajo. Muchísimas gracias, Manuel. That's a friend of mine who's doing some work for me.
Right on.
Anyway, the nature of this medium is such that, and that's why I asked about whether your listeners could see,
Yeah.
is the nature of this medium is such that the array of light coming into your eyes, otherwise known as its appearance, varies continually and sometimes quite suddenly and dramatically, depending on three things: where the sun or the moon or the artificial light is, the light source, the weather, particularly the amount of light diffusion in the air, as opposed to on a clear day the light is directional, and most importantly, like so many things in life, where you're standing. What you see here and in immediate environs depends profoundly upon where you're standing and when you're standing there.
Okay.
So for instance, right now we're looking at it from the back.
Okay.
But if it were 10 in the morning, it would be the front, as it were, because it's meant to be seen with the sun shining through it.
Okay.
Now you can see why that might be in general terms, because there's so much glass. But when we go up and look the other way,
Yeah.
you'll see a dramatic contrast, which will please me, and it'll also help illustrate what I'm up to here.
Okay.
This is a large array of large teardrop-shaped double lenses.
Okay.
But you can't tell they're lenses when the light source is on the same side of you, is on the same side that you are from the glass. Because right now we're seeing mostly reflected light.
Right.
But when we go to the opposite side, we'll be seeing refracted light.
Okay.
And those are, I go on and on about this, and it's really quite obscure to someone listening to what I'm saying, because it's so unusual.
Right.
And so they have no frame of reference. That's why it's so helpful to usually
See
my
it.
words correspond to what I'm seeing. Like you, for instance, can see that we're
Right.
So now just put in your mind's eye what you're seeing now, and when we go up, you'll see the contrast.
Okay,
But
perfect.
before we go,
Okay.
you'll see that panel right there, that cutout panel there,
Yeah.
is a shadow caster. It's about to go over Manuel's body. See there?
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Thank you, Manuel. I'm sorry I estoy trabajando. Thank you. It's really good work.
Yeah, all right.
All right, cuídese.
Okay, gracias.
Los ladrones
Take care, man.
son peligroso. So anyway, that panel right there,
Right.
it's a cutout, you can see.
Yeah.
And it's casting a shadow of if you look at the wall behind it.
Right. Right. With the Virgin in the back.
Exactly.
Right.
Now that if the light was not so diffuse today, we have this marine layer kind of haze. If it was a clearer day, that would be the contrast between the light and the dark and that shadow would be more extreme.
Okay.
But she rises up. She, meaning the shadow, the Virgin of Guadalupe, rises up out of the earth every day as the sun is very high in the sky, and then climbs the stairs as the sun arcs across the sky.
Okay.
And that's my sister and my 96-year-old mother. I'll call her back when we're done.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Oh, sure. No, it means the world to me that people are interested. I'm honored and pleased by you coming by.
Of course.
So that shadow makes for killer selfies, because you can stand inside her penumbra, her body halo. Those flame-like shadows.
Yes.
And they go over your own self, your own face and body, and then if you play with the contrast, on the photo, you can get some really wild images to send your friends, and I'll ask you where you are.
Okay. Awesome.
So having said that, we're going to go up, and I'll go up ahead of you,
Okay.
and then when you follow me and come up the stairs, I'm going to ask you to turn left at the top of the stairs,
Okay.
and walk towards the dragon on the fence.
Oh.
And then stand on the red platform next to the dragon, and then turn around. It's part of the reveal.
All right.
Are you ready to tell me your name
I'm
again?
ready.
This
I'm
is
Askia.
Askia.
Askia. Yeah.
Askia.
Yes. You got it.
Excellent.
You got it.
Wonderful.
Now, could you tell me the lenses that you're using? What are they used for normally?
Well, some are very large teardrop-shaped vessels that were originally used for scientific, and chemical processes. I got them from a company, a scientific instrument manufacturing place, a glass place in Poland.
Okay.
So I think it's quite old.
What's this?
But I got them. They're being sold as a. Hold on a second.
No problem. Do your thing.
I gotta tell my mom.
Of course, no problem.
Hi, Lilo. I'm in the middle of a podcast. This is Askia from Orange County.
Hey, how you doing?
This is my sister.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Is Mamsie there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, here you can say hello to my mother.
Okay.
Mother, this is Askia from Orange County, and he's doing a podcast about RandyLand. Here, say hi to him.
Hi there. How you doing?
Okay.
I hear you look absolutely amazing for 96.
You shouldn't have said that.
He let the cat out the bag.
Well, Mamsie, I'll call you back. I got another group coming after this young man, but I won't neglect you indefinitely. See you later. Love you. Actually, walk over there, please.
This way, okay. The dragon. Here it is.
Just stand on the red platform there.
Okay, standing on the red
Turn
platform.
around and look that way.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay, so for my listeners, when I turn right and the sun is hitting me directly, the lenses that you were describing,
Yeah,
they're glowing.
they're glowing. Yes.
There's a fluorescence to them.
Well, you'll see if you look closely because of the light diffusion, it's a little less clear. But not only are the entire things glowing, but you'll see inside each one a tiny blazing pale blue light in the blue ones.
Ah, yes.
And then in the clear ones you see a blazing light, and in the yellow ones as well, and in some of the red ones over there. See all those over there? See
Yeah.
that tiny blazing light?
Right.
Well, that turns out to be a shrunken sun.
Oh.
In a tiny upside down sky.
Okay.
And I'll show you what I mean. If you come this way.
Okay.
So if you want to stand right up there.
Okay, so I'm standing on. This is a. What is this like? This is like some steel kind of steps you have
Yeah,
here.
it's a small steel staircase.
Okay.
It came from a movie somewhere.
Oh.
I work in the movie business.
Okay.
See this lens here?
Yeah, I see that lens.
Do you see my neighbor's house upside down inside it?
Yes, I do see. Yeah, your neighbor's house. Yeah, I do.
Okay, in the upper part, the convex part.
Yes, I do.
All right, now look closely into the stem, and you'll see my neighbor's house right side up and kind of elongated.
I see it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I
Well,
do.
This is the principal reason why, as I was saying earlier, the array of light is constantly changing, because the basic element in this sky mosaic is the teardrop-shaped lens. And the reason I say lens is because when you take a teardrop-shaped glass vessel, transparent vessel, and fill it with water, it becomes not one but two lenses, as you've just seen.
Right.
A convex lens on the top, which is the same, similar to the convex lenses on our eyes that projects an upside-down view of the world on our retinas.
Yeah.
Remember that day in school?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
All right. Well, but it turns out that there's such thing as a concave lens, where the walls of the solid glass object or glass and water object are coved inwards towards one another, and a concave lens also captures the horizon and shrinks it and projects it, but it doesn't turn it upside down. It does, however, turn it on its vertical axis. So that's why you saw my neighbor's house on the right of both of those lenses, even though it's actually on the left of your of
my
where
view.
you're standing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, that has a consequence.
Okay.
As I will now proceed to demonstrate.
All right.
If you want to go to that spot at the bottom of the stairs and then climb the stairs and stand right in front of my front door here.
Okay, so climbing the stairs and standing right in front of the front door.
Now, if you look at these 2-foot tall, glowing teardrop-shaped vessels that are evocative of some sort of hot air balloons made out of a pair of glowing sunsets.
Yes.
That's what you're seeing.
Yes.
So you see at the top of each one of them, the hillside beyond upside down, shrunken and upside down.
Yes,
See
yes.
the little trees sticking upside down. Well, now if you look in the stem, you'll see of all of these, or most of them, you'll see those trees right side up.
Yes.
And elongated. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you can proceed to notice the two bright lights that are about 7 inches apart in each one.
Yeah.
Well, those are two suns in two respective skies. The upper one of which is upside down. So it's as the sun set, it goes up, whereas the lower one is going down. They're traveling away from each other. But in mid-afternoon, when the sun goes past the zenith and into the western part of the sky, they appear. Those two suns appear as a singularity, as one inside in the middle of each teardrop shape, and then they slowly proceed to. The sun slowly proceeds to divide itself into two, and one goes up and one goes down all afternoon.
So that's the difference between the afternoon and the morning.
In the morning, from this side, the sun appears at the either end of all of these, particularly in the wintertime, and then they come together all morning, and then in the afternoon they split apart again and travel away from each other. So if there was a raging red sunset right now, like you get in Orange County, with all sorts of convoluted, clouds of reds and yellows and golds and etc., you would see two raging red sunsets in each of these vessels, fused together into a mushroom cloud shape. With two blazing suns behind it.
Right.
So that's the principal reason why the array of light is constantly changing depending on where you're standing and what's happening in the sky. The other one is, as you can see, unlike a traditional mosaic or painting, or the elements are separate from one another, so you can see between each one to the sky beyond.
Yeah.
And if you're at a high place looking down to the ground beyond.
Right.
Now, it turns out that that has a profound effect on what's happening both between each one and inside each one. So one slowly, or not so slowly as the case may be, apprehends that you're witnessing a ongoing psychedelic fractal, psychedelic extravaganza every day.
Right.
So it's very cathartic. It kind of pulls you in, and when one discovers such a medium like this, imagine all the medium of oil painting and all the incredible masters and genres of oil painting. From Alexandrian, Egypt,
of course,
to the present day, and all the crazy, Michelangelo and Mary Cassatt and Basquiat, and Van
tons,
Gogh.
Caravaggio.
Well, now just imagine that they were working not with their element. It was not a little brush stroke that would fade and get dirty, and that's as much as it would change. Imagine that their basic element was two shining, living skies, and in each brushstroke.
Wow. Okay.
As each brushstroke, and then imagine that they had 1,000 brushstrokes.
Wow.
That is what's going to come after me. This is just I'm just introducing the world to a glorious new medium that's going to be taken up by people like yourself, young, energetic, artistically inclined people.
All right.
And which is what I'm trying to inspire people to do.
Yes. That's incredible. It's each so it's like each lens is its own world, and you're building a world from multiple worlds.
Yes, each lens is actually two worlds.
It's two worlds.
Two horizons, two skies, two suns in each one. Yes.
And when did you start making these?
Quite a while ago, when you were probably in barely in grade school.
Oh, really?
The first one I did was 20 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And it was an underwater scene. And I have to prepare for this group that's coming.
Pretty soon.
Yes, but this is what the center looked like. There's an underwater scene with dancing starfish and swirling water, 50 feet long and about 12 feet tall. It was right. You can see the upper reaches of it right there in the rebar. And then it got it kept getting bigger over time. You can. Do you see that hillside across the way?
I do, yes.
Well, do you see on the right-hand side there's a road going up, kind of in shadow there?
Yeah, it's like a dirt road.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, if you go up that dirt road at 10 in the morning, or if you did go up at 10 in the morning a couple of years ago, this is what you would see. You could describe that to your listeners.
Okay, so we see so with the lenses that Randy is describing, there is a glowing Virgin de Guadalupe. Right? Is this Virgin de Guadalupe?
It is, yes.
In the middle of a heart.
Right. Yeah.
Right, which is really appropriate.
It's big. It's 30 feet tall.
30 feet tall, and also I'm noticing that in this picture, you have some lenses actually attached. Are they attached to your house here?
No.
That's
an illusion.
That's just an illusion.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, beautiful. And there's also within the heart, I also see a sun. There's this sun. So this sun is here.
This is a temple or a shrine to the sun on an ongoing basis.
Beautiful.
Because all the sunlight, all the colors are in the sunlight.
Right.
And it's over the millennia, the sun has been worshipped by, particularly in Bronze Age peoples, from Egypt to the Greeks to the Maya, and they had all sorts of wild stories about it, and I can relate.
Yeah.
Because I find it incredibly compelling that we're witnessing this unbelievable thermonuclear storm traveling over our heads, and then you realize that it's not traveling over our heads, that we're spinning around and we're traveling around it.
Wow.
It just becomes more and more mind-blowing the more you think about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, this whole place is a shrine to the sun, and is a temple to various aspects of the feminine impulse in spirituality or religion. You can see the Virgin of Guadalupe here, who I'm not a believer myself, but she keeps telling me to build her anyway. Go figure. But the Catholics are very creative. They call her the Queen of Angels. That's why Los Angeles is people think it's named after the angels. It's named after the Queen of Angels.
Queen of Angels,
which is her.
Yes.
Yes, El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora la Reina de Los Angeles de Porciúncula. That's the
full name.
That's the name.
Could you say that one more time? Do you mind?
El Pueblo, which means the town. As opposed to a presidio, which is a military installation, or a mission, which is what they call their religious chain of religious establishments. El Pueblo, chartered by the king and all. El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora, which means Our Lady, of Our Lady, the town of Our Lady. La Reina, meaning the queen.
Right.
De Los Angeles.
Okay. Wow.
Of angels, and then it's de Porciúncula, and Porciúncula was a little river upon which the original chapel of St. Francis stood, and Los Angeles was named after that place by Franciscans. It was the Franciscans who built all the missions in what we call California, because the Pope had banished the Jesuits who started down in Mexico, and because they were too obstreperous. Right. And the Franciscans were more compliant, much to the Holocaust of the Indians. They were out to save them, but it didn't work out.
It was
quite the contrary.
Quite the contrary. Yeah, pretty decimated almost.
Oh yes, decimated originally, of course, meant 1 in 10, but it was more like 9 in 10. Yeah.
Right.
You mentioned.
Good question. So, when did the fascination with the sun and light start for you?
Oh, I would say I grew up by the ocean, and so I was. I spent a lot of time in the ocean, and I spent a lot of time looking, seeing light going through the water. I spent a lot of time diving and surfing and body surfing, and I was prone to looking up when I was under the water, going under a wave or looking for an abalone or whatever the case may be. And the sun would play, just dance in this most extraordinary way above me. And I slowly realized that it was because the surface was made up of all these little swells. How the surface of an ocean looks. Well, each time, and they're, the swells appear and then disappear, and they do it constantly, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the weather. And it turns out each time that swell bulges like that, it turns into a convex lens that bends the light. And so that's what's, and particularly when you're in like a kelp forest and that light is doing that, it sticks with you. So I believe that answers your question.
That's my
in terms
question.
of the origin of the fascination. And also I used to travel the Mexican border with my family.
Mm-hmm.
Mi bisabuela se llama Rosa Zapata de Sonora, and so my great grandmother was named Rosa Zapata, and she was from Sonora, and so our people are scattered around the border of mainly Arizona and Mexico. My mother's people, at least.
Okay.
And the silversmiths and the wonderful, in the downtown plazas, you would have all these little stalls. I'm sure they're still there, selling the most amazing silverwork from various parts of Mexico, and that really captured my imagination too. So this is kind of a combination. This is almost like giant jewelry in a way.
Right.
Depending on, at least that's one thing it can do. It actually can do all sorts of amazing other things.
Right.
Like your readers, your listeners can't see it, but this is what it looked like about 10 years ago from my upstairs window.
Oh wow! It looks like a mosaic, and it's a different perspective because we're looking down at it.
Yeah, from my upstairs window, right?
Yeah, it almost looks like an ocean
sunset.
there.
Doesn't it, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a real oceanic quality. Well, of course, there's water in all of them, and you're seeing 1,000 little sunsets in it. And so I think that has to do with my you're spending so much time in the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, in this podcast, we talk a lot about ancestors. We talk a lot about indigenous spiritual practices, things like that. And I noticed that you said that the Virgin of Guadalupe is almost telling you that that she has to be built. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Well, yes. I'm very. I've always been. I'm drawn to the history of religion, particularly not just recent religions, not just the monotheist religions, which are really among the most recent on the scene. Of
course, yeah.
But the religions that were animating people's imagination before that, and the female impulse, or the goddess appeared over and over and over again, and continues to do so all over the world, especially India now these days. But for 30,000 years, for instance, in Central Europe, 30,000 years. And
wow.
Bearing in mind that Islam is 1,400 years old. Mm-hmm. 20 times as old almost. Images of graven images of what they called Venuses, female figures made out of stone and wood, have been found underneath the domiciles of the people of South Central Europe.
Right.
So there's something in our spirits that is drawn to the goddess.
Yes.
And I feel it, even though I'm not a Orthodox believer in any way, and it's not like I worship to Diana or
right.
whomever. But I find it fascinating and compelling, and inspiring.
Yes. That's beautiful.
This one, for instance, is a completely different aspect of the feminine. It's a 22 foot tall, running, athletic, naked black woman.
Yeah.
And she is like the goddess of strength and good ideas.
Yeah.
As opposed to the long suffering, image that is the feeling that is projected by the reason I look around is because I've got
You have a group coming
I'm
up.
trying to I just want to be sensitive when they arrive.
No problem.
Let me lock that door. Can I lock that door?
Yeah, of course. Do what you got to do.
Because as you can see, I like to start across the street.
Of course, yeah, of course.
And that way it blows the reveal.
Right.
I think it is locked. No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's part of it, but also it's honoring, Los Angeles, which is, as I say, is named after her, and it's also honoring all the immigrants and the founders of Los Angeles that make it such an extraordinary place, so different than other parts of the country.
Yes.
My folks were Episcopalians, which are often referred to as God's frozen people.
Okay.
So I really appreciate the warmer hearts and warmer colors because what's the point of living in a world of grays when you can live in vibrant color. Vibrant color. Live in vibrant color. Vibrant color. Live in vibrant color.
Yeah, you really constructed your own world.
Well, yeah. Thank you for saying that. I became painfully conscious that the built environment is, even when it's really quite excellent, it's providing for the physical needs of people, infrastructure, and et cetera, and sanitation and all sorts, can still be kind of brutally inhuman.
Yes.
When it doesn't take as its kind of prime directive the impact it has on the human spirit and on the human senses, and so building, the modern economy these days and the price of building and all has produced just building these boxes, right?
Yeah.
And the boxes are not all that dissimilar from the boxes that the Soviet Union was building, and it strikes me as equally inhuman.
Yeah.
And it's not necessary. There's my art is based on the premise that we have evolved. Human beings, our species has evolved to find certain experiences, in this case visual experiences, more compelling, more awe-inspiring, and beautiful than others.
Yeah.
Religious people would say, we were created that way. But far be it for me to try to convince anybody. But one way or another, that's our we share as human beings. Interests and kind of neural circuitry that responds, like I say, with this feeling of awe and inspiration and beauty, regardless of our culture.
Right.
And I'm trying to tap into that to evoke. Artists are kind of by nature, rather, egomaniacal. But my partner would say that I'm a good example of that. But beyond trying to express myself and try to make something glorious, I'm trying to evoke It's the art of the evocation. I'm trying to bring out in others feelings of awe and inspiration.
Right.
It turns out that there's this neuroscientist up at Berkeley who's written about it. Evidently, the neural circuitry of awe, the feeling of awe, is closely related to physically and otherwise in the brain to that of love. And that kind of makes sense, you know. One is filled with a certain love for life when one is imbued with a sense of awe.
Yes.
And so I'm very fascinated with that, and I'm bound and determined to cultivate that as much as possible. So it strikes me as very strange that no one else has done this before. This technology here, you know, wire and glass, and has been around a long time. It's been around since, easily since the Renaissance.
Right.
And most inventions these days, artistic and otherwise, are, premised upon recent technological inventions, the silicon chip or what have you. But this is not. This could have been developed in the Renaissance. Da Vinci could have invented this.
Right, yeah.
But he didn't. And so that's where my ego comes in. I find that very satisfying. But the main point is well, I suppose, who knows? Maybe the main point is to feed my own ego. But what I'm really into is trying to create a visual and sensual experience that other people find of value, because then it gives me a sense of kinship with those people like yourself.
Yeah.
It attracts people, kindred spirits from all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's a glorious thing for, an egomaniac like myself. People come and say a lot of nice things to me every day, like you have.
No, but I think that the only place I've seen this maybe similar is maybe the watchtowers, but it's a very different technology that's being used.
Right, the structure is similar,
right?
In that the structure is made out of 20-foot lengths of rebar, and he used rebar too.
Yeah,
and he would bend it. These lengths of rebar is somewhat different than his in that they're all spring loaded. They're not. They weren't. They're bent, and then if they were released, they're interlocking. It's like who knows, maybe 80 interlocking. I don't know how many interlocking 20-foot long springs. And by springs, I mean they are under tension. They're arced under tension. If they were released, they would give out.
Yeah.
And that puts a whole lot of energy and power into them, so that they can. You can suspend. These glass, teardrop shapes with water in them, which are heavy. Water is like 6 pounds a gallon, and if they weren't all under tension like that, if they weren't giant springs but just dangling there, they would not. They would sag.
Right.
But because they're all under tension, they don't sag. And when you interlock a whole series of arcs of rebar, like at Watts Towers, it becomes an extremely strong structure that's that can flex but not break. If you put any pressure on it in any given area, it distributes not evenly but quite thoroughly the force throughout a big part of the structure.
Right.
It's like a giant steel spring-loaded praying mantis.
Oh, beautiful.
With lots of strength but little mass.
Right.
There's little surface area, so that the force of the wind is very slight, and also, as you can see, the kind of suspended arrays of lenses, this light mosaics, have lots of open space in between them, and so the force of the wind is much less than it would be if it was a solid plane. If that were the case, I would have to have big concrete caissons and steel trusses, but because that's not the case, because you can build this, like I say, this kind of wide-footed, spring-loaded, insect-like creature on this huge scale, 50 feet long and 30 feet tall, and it ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. And I didn't realize until you said that every single lens is full of water.
Yes, and except for a couple, just to prove just to show you the difference. You see that one right there? That has no water in it, but these do. So you don't see the sun blazing in it. You don't see the sky upside down. You don't see the color. It's an empty vessel in more ways than one. Physically as well as visually and spiritually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like that. I like the interaction between the water and the sun. It's almost like fire and water together.
Yes, it is. That is so true. Wow, that is a crazy. I'm going to steal that.
Please do.
Because it's not like it. It actually is it. It is water, and you are seeing a hellacious thermonuclear fire inside it, known as the sun.
Yeah.
Yes, that is so cool.
Yeah.
And that's very much. It's very much. A kind of appropriate to this place. You live in Orange County. I grew up in San Diego, and we live in Los Angeles, and so it's all about the sun and the water. It's all about the fire and the water. And this meeting of opposites to make something glorious. This is a motif that runs through, as we were talking about history of religion. It shows up all over the place. It shows up with the eagle with the snake in its talons. It shows up in the dragon that's flies, but is yet a reptilian. It shows up in the yin and the yang. It shows up over and over again. The animus and the animus and the anima, in psychology. We're it's a symbol of a unity that comes from pairing of opposites. Yeah.
Yes. Balance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is great. And I guess lastly, the question I do want to point out to my listeners that you have sculptures in here. They look like bronze. Are these bronze?
Yes, these are. Most of these are bronzes of incredible equine. They're horses doing these wild, contorted activities with figures like a mountain man, like an Indian, like a cowboy. You see that one's rearing up from a snake.
Yeah.
And so these were all done by Remington, who is the greatest of all the American Western artists.
These are original.
Yes.
Casts or
Remington would make an original, and then he would, cast a series.
Wow.
And so these are all part of that. You'll see him in the White House. Particularly when there's a Republican administration, because it kind of has this symbol of the West and
Americana
and the cowboys, but for better or for worse, those are my family's antecedents, and so
but you acknowledge it.
And my uncle acknowledged it. I come from a military, long line of military officers. That I managed to break that line for one generation, and then it started up again and all its madness. But anyway, my uncle, whom I'm named after, was a Marine Corps colonel, and he collected all these. And then when he passed away, his fourth wife allowed us how I could take him away, which I probably did. But he also liked women too. Like this was made by a woman. In the 110 years ago, and it's blind justice, as you can see.
Yeah.
But you can see that her garments and her posture are very much of that age, of the 20s, the 1920s. When the clothing fit the female form as opposed to the big bustles and everything before that.
Right.
And that one it is also there's a young woman, a sculpture made out of aluminum with a dress that shows her form. And she has two parrots. It's the bird lady. My uncle called her Lucy Lou, and she was made by a Mexican fella down in in Baja somewhere, and it's very difficult to do that and to make such a figure out of aluminum. I mean,
Incredible,
I find it
it's a soft metal.
Hard to imagine. Well, yeah, it's made out of somehow made out of sheet metal aluminum in parts, but so maybe it's cast. I guess it is cast, so it's not sheet metal, but it's thin. So it's really quite extraordinary. But that is made by a man, and you can see, that was made by a man.
Yeah, you can see the perspective.
As opposed to that's made by a woman.
Right. I get your drift. I think the listeners can as well.
But it turns out women like them both.
Right.
And as do men, but women particularly are drawn to that one, so I find that very gratifying.
Awesome. Yeah, it's just a beautiful space. I want to, thank you so much for I'm so happy that I bumped into you.
Oh, me too.
I couldn't believe it. I said, wait, this is RandyLand, and then I saw you climbing up the ladder. That's got to be Randy.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to give you a magnet and postcards, and any of your listeners who want to come to RandyLand.
That's what I want to encourage.
Yeah, please call and make an appointment.
Okay, could you maybe tell people information in order to come out here and see for themselves?
Please call and make an appointment at 213-278-1508, and it's good to come an hour and a half before sunset on a sunny day, so check the weather forecast and your friend's schedule, and then shoot me a text and I'll confirm it. And after I give you a little tour, I'm going to give you swag like I'm giving to Askia right now, which is some magnets and postcards with my phone number on it. So there you go.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Absolutely beautiful day. Such a pleasure to talk to you, Randy. Thank you.
As my dad used to say, y'all come back now.
What a pleasure. What a landmark. And what a conversation. I learned a ton, y'all. I hope you did too. And I feel good. You can go ahead and book your own visit to RandyLand at 213 by calling 213-278-1508. And you can find him on Facebook at facebook.com/RandyLandLA.
Like a giant steel spring-loaded praying mantis.
Askia Lavender at gmail.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can also find me on Instagram at Askia Lavender. Thank you so much for tuning in to Intergalactic Earth. And man, it's been a pleasure. I love y'all. Peace.